Today we have scientist and comedian Steve Lesser. He has a PhD in neurobiology. Steve, you want to just tell everyone a little about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So all true. Yeah, you nailed it. So I started down an academic route. I got a PhD in neurobiology, as you said. I did a couple different postdocs after, which is the work you do immediately as you think you're staying in academics. But like 90% of people that get PhDs in the sciences, you find your way out. And so I went from there to work at IBM as a consultant, and then from there to a contract research organization, from there to a software company, and now I'm at a different software startup company.
Nice. Now, how did you get into comedy? Because that seems...
That was my saving. That's what saved me through grad school. So I don't know anybody, like, people always are like, oh, you have a PhD in neurobiology, you must be so smart. And that's...
Well, yeah.
But what people don't realize is that the PhD is not, it doesn't test intelligence. It tests endurance more than anything else. And so like everybody's like, oh, you must be so smart. And then I get into these weird arguments of like, no, I'm really not smart. And like, it's a weird argument to get in, let alone want to win. But I'm like, yeah, gotcha.
Told you I wasn't smart.
Told you. The thing that always wins it for me at the end of the day is when I tell them that I went to school for 23 years.
Oh.
And that is not a characteristic of someone who's smart. That's a characteristic of someone desperate not to work.
Or someone that loves school.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, grad school, I found a topic that I was passionate about. You can't make it through grad school if you don't have a passion for the topic.
Yeah.
I was always fascinated by it. I always had a kind of like a penchant for science, and so I was drawn that way. But, much like many, I wouldn't call it a mistake because I'm really happy about where I ended up.
Yeah.
But it was always kind of very easy next steps that got me from undergrad to grad school, and then grad school to postdoc. And then I said, well, wait a second, what do I want to do when I grow up? And that's where, I realized that while I love science, I don't have to love doing science.
Right.
So my step into industry was using the skills that I thought that were valuable from being a scientist, of being analytical, being a problem solver, and using those skills in the world of business. And so in grad school, I found improv comedy, met my wife there, who you've had on the podcast.
Shout out to Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny Stencil. Woohoo! So we met a couple years into grad school, and while I was like the most burnt out and wanted to just quit, because, like I said, it's a marathon. It's a true endurance race. I found a distraction, of improv comedy, and since I was a little tyke, I always wanted to do comedy. When I was in college, I had a notebook, and I went to one open mic, and I chickened out. I couldn't get up there with the set that I had planned. And then I always conveniently found an excuse not to go back. I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so eventually we went to a show for my birthday and my friend Will in grad school. We went to an improv comedy show. And then the following week, one of my grad school buddies, Marty, came down with an ad. They were trying to advertise for one of the classes. And the exact quote was, dude, you got to do this. He was from California. And I went, okay, and then started doing improv, and it was an 8-week class, and maybe about 12 weeks after I saw the ad and started the class, I was doing shows every weekend, and the rest was history, because at this point, been doing improv since '96, and I lost count, but like, back of the envelope calculation, it's like 4,000, 4,200 shows.
Wow.
Something like that.
That's amazing. Well, I guess science and the arts are sort of related in some ways.
You can get into the arts scientifically. There's just so many ways to get into it.
I guess it's all about ideas.
Yeah.
Creativity.
Yeah. So as you know, when I teach, like my style is kind of deconstructing what you're seeing, so that as a student of comedy, you can then start to build it purposefully.
Right.
Right. There are people that are absolutely funny because of they grew up that way.
Yeah.
But if you ask them how they're funny, nobody could tell you how they're funny. And so some of these funny people that are, delighting lots of people at parties, at work, maybe on stage, even though that stand-up is a different skill set and improv is obviously a different skill set just from entertaining your buddies at a party.
Yeah.
But they're going through, they're going through comedy, and they don't know how to be funny. They just are.
Yeah.
And so you give a little bit of background, a little bit of letting the internal funny out with a little bit of here's how you construct funny. Here's how you create funny out of nothing, from just a funny idea that you have that could make someone smile if you shared the idea. It's just that funny premise.
Yeah.
And then you figure out how to put that twist and how to word it, which is the skill of stand-up and creating jokes. And then you can have, I say mind control, but I mean it with.
It is.
I mean it with like italics and quotes around it.
Happy
right?
mind control.
But it, I can't describe it any other way. When like the biggest audience that I did stand-up for is about 850 people. And when you get a room of 850 people to do the same exact thing at the same time, I think that's mind control. That's what I'm calling it, right? But you're making them laugh all at the same time, and that's a lot of control that you have of, I'm gonna, and there's probably a couple grumps in there, but 848 laughs at the same time is pretty cool, and just that feeling when that many people are laughing because of something you said.
Yeah.
It's hard to ever get out of the business after that.